This was a special meeting. I'm going to call the meeting to order at 6:12 p.m. Pursuant to Governor Baker's blah, blah, blah. This meeting is being recorded. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 order and subsequent March 15th, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people, the meeting of the Great Barrington Affordable Housing Trust will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information and general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and or parties with a right or requirement to attend can be found on the town's website. This meeting is being recorded. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological meetings. In the event that we are unable to do so, we will post on the town's website an audio or video recording as soon as possible after the meeting. All votes are to be roll call votes. I call this meeting to order. This, as you may know, is my first attempt at trying to host a meeting, and I have a few technical issues, such as being orange and or blue. Larissa is traveling today. She may try to call in along the way, or if she's at a destination, she may log in from her hotel. But in the absence of that, we have a quorum. The purpose and the main item on the agenda tonight is to review the RFP for 40 Grove Street. And we have two proposals, and we need to vote on them. We need to follow the guidelines that were created to review these. I'm sorry, I'm a little distracted here.
That's okay.
It's the guidelines in the RFP.
The guidelines are in the RFP. And I'm going to share my screen. If I can figure it out here. And these are taken from the RFP. If you can all see that now.
Yeah.
Okay. The additional ones are minimum requirements, and I think we can all agree that the both proposals meet the minimum requirements that were outlined in the proposal.
Yes.
Those were basically letters of submission and a letter of interest, getting it in on time, providing a timeline, and all units must be affordable for people up to 100% of the area median income. In section 6 of the proposal are the criteria that are in front of you on your screen: affordability, experience, financial feasibility, which is spelled wrong, purchase price, overall quality of the proposal. Excuse me, should have a cough button. The RFP lays out 3 levels for each of these: not advantageous, basically not meeting that standard; advantageous, generally meeting that standard but not exceeding it; and highly advantageous exceeding that standard. So in each case, we need to rate each area as one of those three criteria. To make it easy, I've laid them out on this sheet, and at the bottom of the screen now, you can see that it makes sense to track it by putting a number next to that. So 0 for not advantageous, 1 for advantageous, and 2 for highly advantageous. Before going into the actual scoring, do we want to have a discussion about the proposals and any general feelings about them? Any questions anybody has about the two RFP responses that we received?
No, but I will give you some information that I actually filled out section 23 B3 for disclosure, just to show that I'm not biased. I guess that's what you have to do. Conflict of interest. So I filled out one of them. It's in town hall, just so you're aware of that.
Because you know the.
Yes, I know Bill
Okay.
and Katie.
Okay.
Bill and Katie seem like very nice people.
Yes.
They are.
Unfortunately, we only have one house at this point and one unit that can't split the baby.
Right.
And these criteria were in the RFP, and this it has to be more quantifiable and less subjective. Even if we want something to be, we have to follow the criteria in the RFP as part of the public process. And thank you for telling us that. So what I did was I created basically a spreadsheet that's a very simple Excel spreadsheet that took a look at each of these criteria related to each proposal. And I believe that we need to rate them. I don't know how you want to proceed with that. We can talk about affordability, which basically means that, which in the context of this RFP, it's not advantageous is incomes up to 100% AMI. Now, that's the minimum standard. So
Right.
we don't get a bonus point for meeting the minimum standard. Advantageous are basically some units reserved for 80% AMI and some at 100. Highly advantageous are increasing that, some household units at 60 to 80% AMI. I looked at it and I thought that, the Bill and Katie's proposal was basically at 100% AMI. I think they said that they can't meet the 80% AMI. They're between 80 and 100.
Yes, that's right.
So I would score that as a 0 for them. For Habitat for Humanity, they are going to try to make it 80%. So even though the proposal is written for some units, since we only have one, some means one in this case, I would give them a 1. Basically on the advantageous scale. I was going to switch this. I was going to make this live. Can you guys bear with me for just a second?
Sure.
Absolutely.
Yep.
You can just mark them down and add them up on a piece of paper. It doesn't have
I could, but I went to the trouble of making an Excel file. There. The same thing, only different.
Okay.
Basically, this one is different because it's live. And I'm going to go ahead and do my scoring, what I just told you, and this will tabulate there. Does anyone else want to, Bill, do you want to, what would you say for affordability?
I basically would agree with what you said. You know, there's 100% or there's 80%. That's,
And John?
I would agree with what you said.
Garfield?
Okay, I think I need a little bit more information.
Okay, we can talk about it.
Okay. Now, when you're saying zero affordability, are we saying that zero is not good or zero is good? You know, are we doing one, you know what I mean? 0, 1, 2.
0 would be the lowest score and 3 would be the highest score.
Two would be the
Two would be
highest.
the highest.
I mean, 2 would be the highest score, yeah.
Right. But now when
Zero basically advantageous in this case means meeting the minimum standards of the proposal, but not exceeding it.
okay. Well, if there should be 100 or less, wouldn't that also be, isn't that advantageous? Are they not a little bit over 80, I guess they said?
Well, you want to be under 80 would be more advantageous. The lower the percentage of area median income, kind of the better. You can, people making less money can afford it. And I think Bill and Caitlin said that they were between 80 and 100%.
Right.
That's
And I
right.
believe Habitat said that they were going to try and get 80% or less, which would according to our criteria, be better.
Yeah. Well, if that's the case, then I would have to give him a 0 for that.
And Habitat?
We'll have to give them a 1.
Bill suggested we switch up the order, so I don't know, Garfield, do you want to comment on criteria number 2, experience?
Sure.
Bill
Well,
and
no, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Katie? Go ahead.
We know that Habitat obviously has buku experience, no question about it. These guys have not, except for being eager, I guess, and having ways to get the thing fixed with having a group of family people involved in it to make it successful. So with that said, I would give them a 1.
Okay.
And Habitat, do you want to do Habitat too?
I would also give them the same score.
Okay. Why don't we go in reverse? John, I guess you're up for experience for Bill and Katie.
Well, I'm really torn about them because I really like them. I would give them, it's hard to tell. I mean, I don't know them as well as at all, but based on their presentation, I think I'd probably go along with, I would probably give them a 1, assuming everything we heard was accurate.
Okay. And for Habitat?
For Habitat, on experience, I would give them a 2.
Bill, do you want to comment on experience?
Yes, the not advantageous states the developer has never produced an affordable home. And you know, I don't think that Bill and Caitlin have produced an affordable home yet. So I would have to go with a 0 on that. And of course, Habitat has developed multiple affordable homes, so I would have to go with a 2 for Habitat.
And I'm gonna follow your lead. All right, why don't we switch it up again? And I don't know, John, do you want to talk about financial feasibility? You're probably the most,
I don't, well,
uh,
I don't know what their financial feasibility is. This is,
well, we define it as the project budget has significant gaps, or the project budget is structured in a way to meet industry standards.
that's what I'm reading.
Or you're our financial resource here, so.
Well, yeah, but I'm a financial resource which does better with projections. Um, I mean, with respect to the fund, we'd get $50,000 from them if they finish. And
But I think that's addressed under purchase price.
no, I know that. I'm just
Oh, okay.
giving my thoughts. Um, 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 I would probably give them a 1 on this, on financial feasibility.
And why don't we continue in the same, do we want to loop? I don't know.
What about Habitat?
Oh, Habitat, yes.
Yeah, you go to Habitat now.
Financial feasibility under the criteria for Habitat, and John is up.
I would say in their case that they are probably a 2.
All right, I don't know which direction to go here, so,
Speak up.
all right, Garfield, you want to go?
I'm sorry, I'll give Bill and Katie, I'm gonna give them a 2.
A 2 for financial feasibility under the criteria,
Yeah, and I would also give the 2 to Habitat.
and a 2 to Habitat. Okay, Bill, why don't you go next with Domack and Perkel?
Okay, I could give them a 1. I mean, it's a little spotty, but I can give them a 1, but I would give Habitat a 2.
All right. I have to tell you, I was disappointed in the project budget presentation from the Domack and Perkel. I felt it was all over the place. I felt that it had significant gaps and didn't really tell me how much they were going to spend. At one point, they say they qualify for a mortgage. On the other, they say they've got money that they're going to use here. But I didn't feel like the project budget was adequately described as to what it was going to be used for.
Didn't they say they were willing to spend, what was it, another 75,000 or something like that? Did I see that, or did I misread that?
I think a project
A large
budget has
number.
to lay out what it's for. Basically, is the project budget aligned with the findings of the condition? And I didn't see that when I looked for it.
Well, that's what I was talking about, Fred. With them, we really have to sort of take them on their word in the presentation.
And we certainly, had an interview as part of the process where we could ask questions and get clarification about the proposal. So it was an opportunity for them to clear up some of those things. My personal feeling is that it didn't rise to the point where I was comfortable with their project budget as being aligned with the findings of the condition of the house.
Okay.
If they say
Okay.
70,000, I don't know whether that means they're going to put 70 into the kitchen and nothing under the back wall. I just don't know.
Mhm.
It didn't tell me.
Oh, that's
But
okay.
did it have to tell you? I don't know if I read it, but I don't remember if Habitat, because it was a bit ago, specified exactly what they were going to do and where the monies were.
I think they actually did.
Did they?
Hang on, I have it here somewhere.
Yeah, they did. Habitat
did.
did. Yeah.
I think they did a rather comprehensive thing, but I can't.
So we were going to switch out. I want to move on to the purchase price.
Well, did you rate both of those, Habitat and Bill and?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
For the Domac and Perkel, I rated it not advantageous. And for Habitat, I rated it highly advantageous. Because I felt
Okay.
like it,
Right.
I felt like it was complete in itself. I don't remember who wants to go next. Anybody want to volunteer, or should I just take up?
Well, I'll go first on the
John
purchase.
Katz.
On the purchase price. We know what they offered,
Yes.
and I would give them a 1 for that.
Which was 50 grand what they offered, right?
Yeah.
Yes, they offered 50 grand.
Well, I'll give them a 2 for that. I'll also give Habitat the same, actually. If it's my
And
turn.
John, do you want to talk about Habitat's purchase price criteria? Remember, the criteria are up above here.
Well, for Habitat for Humanity, the question is, are they gonna buy it from us, or are we gonna give it to them?
It was a zero purchase process. They wanted it for free.
Yes.
That's what I thought.
Yes. Well, they also wanted that the town will waive some permitting fees and taxes while it's being rehabbed.
So if that's that's what I heard as well.
So they're kind of giving us a negative offer.
So we get a 0 for purchase price.
Okay.
I'll change mine back to 0.
Okay. Bill? Now, I just remind you that the criteria, while it does say purchase price, basically, if you look at the detail and the definition, is will it create affordable housing? So, Habitat is talking about the house when it's complete to be worth $325,000. And they were talking about selling it at that price, but then providing a grant or a subsidy if that exceeded the person's 30% affordability ratio. So basically, their purchase price and affordability is based upon 30% of income. I'm just reminding you that that's what the criteria is, not so much how much money the town's going to make.
Right.
So Bill, do you want to provide a score for Domek and Perkel?
Yeah, in both cases, we're going to end up with affordable housing. And both of the transactions describe how it will facilitate the creation of affordable housing. So I'd have to give them both a 2.
Okay. And my vote is, I'll give them a 2 for affordable housing, but I'm going to change, I'm going to vary and go with 1 for habitat. While I think it will be affordable, I'm disturbed by the idea of the structure of a $325,000 affordable house. So even though I know that in this community, that seems to be the new definition, I remind you that some of us couldn't afford to live here if that were the case, if we were buying houses
Amen.
today. So, including yours truly. So we have one more criteria, and it is more subjective. It is the overall quality of the proposal. The basic criteria is whether it's complete and responsive or exceeds being complete and responsive. The not advantageous is while it's complete, it doesn't include all of the items in the RFP. So I think I'm going to use my chair prerogative and say I felt that I was a little concerned about the budgeting and some of the financing from the Domek and Perkel. And while I think that it basically is complete, I'm not sure that it's completely responsive. Well, I guess I'll give them a 1. I just changed my vote. And I'm going to do the same for Habitat with a 1. So why don't we get down the line? Bill, why don't you want to talk about the overall quality of the proposal?
Yeah, I think I would give a 1 to Bill and Caitlin's proposal, but I would give a 2 to Habitat, partly because they're also going to use it for basically training people in the trades as part of, it sort of goes beyond even what we asked for in that regard, that they're going to use it as, they're apparently going to bring in people to learn carpentry and learn plumbing, and they're going to use it for a program they have as well as creating affordable housing. So I'm going to give them a 2 on that.
John, do you want to be up next?
Yeah, I would
should probably mask this.
probably on the overall quality of the proposal, I'd probably give them a 0.
Which one?
The overall,
Mac and Perkel.
yeah, and the reason for that is I've spent my professional life as an investment banker, et cetera. And you all know, and I've heard too many verbal proposals given verbally without sufficient backup, and I felt that that was true of them. I think they could have done much better. I mean, they thought, I think, that the $50,000 would really appeal to us.
And do you have an opinion of the Habitat or a vote on the?
Their proposal was, I would give a 2 to.
Garfield, do you want to complete our circle here?
Sure. Let me say this. I'm not sure if I would be right, if I have everything the same in the right vein, but I would give them probably Domac and Percal a 1. The reason being, I guess I kind of know what it's like to have to need a home and have one that's made affordable to you and one that's in your grasp, even though maybe you don't have everything together. I got my home through Construct 37 years ago. They'd actually offered another $3,000 that had to be spent, but did not specify how it needed to be spent. Again, this will we are going to get affordable housing either way. They've had some people in their families that they claim can help, which would defer some of the costs, which they probably couldn't say what it's going to cost because they don't know what it's going to be if they're having their family in them help them. But they have people that are who can help and defray the cost and make it more of a sound proposal, I think. So I would lean that way, just knowing that what it's like, knowing also that we will be giving these people a shot. Sometimes this is almost like, to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, this is almost like, well, I don't have any credit now, but how am I going to get any credit if you're not going to give me any credit?
Mhm.
Well,
And
that's true. That's true. That is true.
and these people seem to be eager enough to want to fix the place. We want someone in there who's going to deem it affordable. We would be doing a service, I do believe. I'll speak a little further. Habitat is great. I love the work they're going to do for us. I'm sure they could find other homes and places to build and use their power, if you will, to create homes elsewhere and maybe allow a family to get the home.
Okay, I'd like to complete the matrix. Do you have a score for Habitat's proposal on the overall quality of the proposal?
I'm going to give them a 1.
Okay,
Yeah, I was really torn on this whole thing. I really like the idea of giving the house to a couple.
So do I.
But,
Why?
I think we have to go by the criteria we established. And anyhow, that's my concern.
well, I think that we have the ability to vote as we wish. I believe that we need to have a reason for that vote.
Yeah.
By using this matrix system, this allows us to provide a rationale for what choice we may or may not make.
Yeah.
And I believe that we also have a fiduciary responsibility to make choices and take votes that are based upon the criteria for selection, because it is a public bid system, public
Yep.
procurement, and it needs to be transparent, and everyone has to be held to the same criteria.
Yep.
So while I do think that it could be possible for us to vote for Domac and Perkel's RFP, I would encourage everybody to think long and hard about that, because we would need to come up with criteria to be supportable. In other words, to support. I also think that Bill, and I agree with John, I agree with Garfield, that Domac and Perkel, Bill and Katie are exactly the kind of people that we want to be able to afford housing in Great Barrington. I hope that they can, if they're not successful tonight, I hope that they can continue to, as perhaps they could, if Habitat is successful, maybe they could work with Habitat and become the clients for this and use volunteer labor as part of their sweat equity to come into the home. We also will have the North Plain Road projects coming online in a couple of years, and that may also give them or people like them another chance. Do I hear a motion? Let's do this. We can have a discussion after a motion is on the table, and I'd like to entertain a motion regarding the RFP for 40 Grove Street.
I'll make a motion. Given the tally that I see on the criteria ranking, I will make a motion that we give the house to Habitat for Humanity to rehabilitate and make permanently affordable.
Is there a second?
I have a question first.
No, we have.
Can I make an attachment to the amendment, if you will, or addendum to the amendment?
Not until we have a second.
Okay.
Do I hear a
No.
second?
I will second the proposal.
Okay.
So now we can have discussion. Garfield, you have the floor.
All right. My discussion would be maybe if we're giving it to Habitat, maybe we can suggest and or have some way that we can make the Bill and Katie possibly be the people that get the home through Habitat. As we kind of alluded to a little earlier, I don't know if I said that correctly, but we kind of thought maybe they could even work with Habitat. I believe Bill said that, did you not, or something to that effect?
Well,
I said that.
You said
yeah,
right.
I don't think we can make that a requirement because for all the affordability stuff, I believe they have to have some kind of, what is it, not an auction exactly, but a lottery or something. They had detailed quite a bit in their proposal. Habitat I'm talking about. Let's see. What did they say? They have a whole criteria themselves.
Well, they should. They've been in business forever. Of course
Yes.
they will.
Yes, this is
That's a given.
the affirmative fair housing marketing plan, which the state requires from somebody like Habitat for building affordable housing. So I don't think we can make that a condition, but we certainly, there's no reason they could not apply to be the recipient of Habitat's rehabilitated property. But I don't think we can make that a condition.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-oh. I don't think that's something we can make a condition of, but they can certainly apply to Habitat if Habitat is awarded the property.
Is there any other discussion regarding the proposal to award the proposal for 40 Grove Street to Habitat for Humanity?
Is there any way we can give the couple a second hearing?
Yeah, see if they can shore up some of the stuff that we felt was a little inadequate, see what they come back with. Is there any real reason why we have to vote tonight? Can we allow that to happen, as John suggested?
We can't allow that to happen under.
Can't. You said C-A-N-T, possibly T. You said can't.
I did say can't. I do not believe that we can allow that. I don't believe that there's a mechanism to allow that to happen. Because we are under the state procurement law, and we would have to cancel the RFP as non-responsive and then go out on the street again with a newly written RFP. There's no way that we can, with the deadline is passed. We had an opportunity with the interview to clear up any issues. And I do not believe there's another, it wouldn't be fair to one party or another if we just, went back and told them to fix it.
they'd have to both come back. Yeah.
They both have to come back.
We really have to abide by the 30B process.
I also think personally, as a member of the committee, not personally, that they are far enough away from the experience and the affordability and the financial feasibility that it's not a close thing. I don't think that fixing one or two inconsistencies is going to be enough to bring them more in line.
Right, you have almost double the votes for habitat. I
Right.
don't see how we can overcome that.
Is there any more discussion?
No, but I think we have to give some real thought to what we do the next time this happens.
Yes,
And it's going to happen
yes,
with the house prices going up the way they are.
yes. I don't think we took into account that an individual couple might actually apply for this, which is why
Well,
the
I think it was
criteria are kind of
available.
skewed.
I think it was certainly written in the RFP that an individual couple could apply.
Yes,
It
And
was.
I think that the criteria is very clear as to what we were looking for in the RFP.
yeah,
And I don't think that there was confusion. I think if there was, a flaw in the RFP, we might consider canceling it and going back in order to be fair to everybody. But I don't think that's the case here.
yeah.
Well, I think the other thing with respect to the couple was that they didn't bring any professional help in with them. And that troubled me a lot.
You mean to the
At the
meeting?
at their meeting you're speaking about, John, when we actually.
Well, yeah, to help with their presentation.
Okay.
The
They did
person-
list in their proposal, though, all the people that were going to help and what they do, if you will.
Yes, they
what
did.
Will be doing. They did list.
But there were a lot of gaps in that. I mean,
There were a lot of gaps in their whole proposal, particularly on the numbers.
so we have a motion on the table. It has been seconded. If there's no more discussion, I'd like to call a vote.
Okay,
All votes are roll call votes. So just to recap, the motion is to accept the proposal by Habitat for Humanity for 40 Grove Street and to award it to Habitat for Humanity. This is a roll call vote, so I'm going to start and go Bill Cook,
Aye.
John Katz,
aye,
Garfield Reed,
Well, I begrudging, unhappy vote for Habitat only because I know the deal and I've been in the situation, and it's a little bothersome to me that we have to completely. There's nothing wrong with sticking with the rules, okay? I'm just thinking just a couple. They're probably, well, maybe they won't have enough. Maybe they can go through Habitat. I don't know, but I'll say yes for Habitat.
And Fred Clark, aye. Larissa, are you on the call? I don't believe Larissa has been able to call in tonight. So those are the members. The motion carries, and we will instruct Chris Rembold as to what the vote is. I said, so an hour has gone by. I said that this was going to be a very small meeting. I'd like to talk a couple things, just a couple of updates. I put on the agenda update for providing funds for the preliminary engineering for North Plain Road property. Bill Cook went to the CPC meeting, and there is a little over $14,000 remaining on the CPC allocation for the North Plain Road site. The CPC listened to Bill's presentation and they voted to recommend to town meeting that balance of the funds, roughly 14,000 something or other, be recharacterized and made available for professional engineering and startup money. That's going to be voted on June 7th at town meeting. The other part of that is Chris Rembold, on behalf of the town, submitted a request to MassWorks for design and engineering money. They have told him that he's gone through the first step of the process. He's now in the second step of the process. We've gotten, excuse me, we've gotten an estimate for engineering that was in the end survey, which was for the site, which was in the $50,000 range, I think. That would be paid for by a MassWorks grant. We are in the process, or Chris is in the process of applying for that. I believe the deadline is about the same day as town meeting, June 6th, June 5th, something around there. And the award will be later in the summer. It's like, we've been told by our sources that it's likely that we will receive that grant and that will pay for the engineering. The reason to do this and for the CPAC money is so that we can get started on some preliminary survey and engineering this summer. And with the survey, the engineer can begin to do drainage calculations and get a rough idea of how to lay out the site and the access road. And with that information, I've talked to Carolyn at Habitat, and we will recommence public hearings or community engagement hearings. They're not really public hearings, they're more community engagement with people in Housatonic and other people who are interested, and start to get some excitement. They have begun taking names, if not applications so far, for the North Plain Road site. They have quite a long list of people who've expressed an interest, and they have a timeline where later on, as we get a little bit more developed and can figure out what sort of housing will fit on the site, they'll go ahead with. That's all I have on the agenda right now. I would also like to get a handle on when's the best time to meet in the future. It would be my preference to have a set monthly meeting on, this is like the, third Thursday, fourth you know, and now you're not on the planning board, but you are on the, you know, select board, so you got different responsibilities, and I don't
Monday
know
night is out.
whether Thursday will work now, and Bill's released from the select board. John, I don't know when zoning meets, or, not
Well,
zoning.
I'm not on zoning
No, I
anymore.
meant,
Board of Assessors.
assessors.
Yeah, we're gonna have a lot of meetings for various reasons, because nothing's been done for 2 years.
Because it's all screwed up. I'm sorry.
Excuse me?
Personal comment, because I'm not really happy about my assessment, but
Oh,
Well, Thursdays are okay for me if I can jump in. Mondays and Wednesdays won't be good for me, I don't believe.
would people want to meet over the summer? We'll have a few things to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
I'm thinking, you know, maybe the third Thursday in June, something like that. I'll send a poll out.
yeah, send a poll out as.
Third or fourth Thursday, something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah, that's better. I think that speaking personally, that's better for me, but yeah, I think it would be better for the whole group.
Yeah. We could just sort of plan on it in advance.
Yeah,
I have, as the request of the committee, I've gotten a summary of all of the funds that we've been granted, all of the sources that we've received, and all of the monies that we've either spent or allocated. It's not on the agenda tonight, so I don't think I can discuss it, but I would like to do that at a future meeting.
Mhm.
And I've also been in touch with Jane Ralph at Construct, who is administering a program for us, or we're funding a program that they're administering for rental assistance. I can tell you that they have been very successful with their program. And in Great Barrington alone, they provided 110 assistances for rental subsidies to a total of 61 different households and 38 different landlords, totaling $100,000 that since COVID pandemic started, they've been able to help keep people in their apartments and help small businessmen, small landlords be able to pay their bills. The average grant is a little over $800 each. The other part about this is less than half of that money came from the town of Great Barrington through the Affordable Housing Program. They've been very successful at getting other sources of money, particularly through Berkshire Taconic Foundation, to provide programs. And they've also been doing a very aggressive amount of counseling, of letting people know what programs under the some of the federal special programs are available for people that didn't know, and helping them fill out the paperwork. So I will give you a full update on where we stand on that program. And the final thing, just in terms of the chair's updates, is we've had another request for down payment assistance that came into the fund. As you may know, Bill had placed ads in the Shopper's Guide, which will be running through the whole summer, telling people about the plan. CPC had asked us to do a little bit more about outreach for it. We've been more successful. We've had more grants this winter. We still have some funds available in there, but I believe that I would like to talk to the committee about going back to the CPC in the fall for replenishing of some of those funds so that we can continue this very successful program. I remind you that this is a loan, not a grant. It is a rotating program in that we will be paid back all of the money, 100% of the money, when the people sell the house, move on. So at some point, many years down the road, it may turn out to be a self-funding program. Not now, because we're still in the first couple of years of it, but as people mature and as more people get in the pipeline, we may see some of those funds coming back in a rotating basis. That's all I have tonight. Trustees speak time. Anyone have any
I have
comments?
nothing.
No,
No, I think it's a good idea for us to go back to this.
Citizen speak. Does anyone want to be heard? Hearing none. Media time. Okay, I hear none. Next meeting will be determined. I will send a doodle poll out, but as I said, I'm thinking late June for a meeting, and we will work on the agenda. If anybody has any agenda items, please send them directly to me or to Chris Rembold. Anybody wants to get on the agenda, please let either Chris or me know. Without objection, I'm going to close the meeting. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night,
night.
Greg. Thank you. Good night to all.
Good night. Bye, everybody.
Bye.